All right, good morning, Squadron. Welcome to the morning brief on Tuesday, June 23rd, 2020, our masterclass on investing with military precision. To give you a quick update on where we are with the podcast, which again generates the feed, if you will, for folks to come into the squadron, which we've got more than we've had here in a little bit. So welcome, everyone. And the update numbers there, you see 6871 across the top line. We currently have 6 squadron members. So we're growing slowly but surely. There's 8 episodes out now. If you're following along in podcast world, I'm trying to go one a day. We shall see if I can maintain that schedule. It takes literally about half an hour, so it's not too bad of a drag, but don't always have that time. In a perfect world, podcasters who release every day tend to have folks that you do them all on Sunday and then just schedule them for time release through the syndicate I use, and they just populate out to everybody at like 3:30 Central, which is half an hour after the market close, that sort of thing. But I'm not quite there yet. Maybe by next Sunday I'll be there. 171 total downloads. So in podcast land, that's pretty good. People are out there listening and picking up subscribers across all the different functions that are out there. The hard launch party will be here in Austin. Plus, it'll be a Zoom webinar for people to be able to join in. It'll be Facebook Live. I do have some guests scheduled to come on to the actual launch and speak with my host, which is a former news anchor named Rochelle. We'll be hosting that. So I did an interview with her before, if you've seen that. But so I think it'll be a good show. It'll be right here in my house over that webinar feed. So tune in if you want over Facebook Live. And that'll serve as the launch. 10 episodes are going to drop that morning. Those are all going to be interviews with financial thought leaders. So hopefully that's going to be the boom increase in audience, but we shall see. Okay, as far as our mission objectives today, we're going to grow our money, protect our money, and live off our money. From a big picture perspective, long-term investing, I'm thinking about more protecting money right now, going into 4 months out from the election. We have social unrest still going on. We have COVID-19, not knowing exactly where we are with that and any potential mutations of it. So we shall see from there. But our topic for this morning is going to be sports investing. The reason I picked this is there's a lot of sports in the news yesterday based off of Major League Baseball the owners saying that they were going to have a 60-game season. We'll see if the players are on board with that. But a shortened baseball season starting as early as like a week from now, right, in July. Major League Soccer is already going. You have NASCAR that's going. So I think we will slowly see sports opening back up. And when you have a theme like that of how do you capitalize on something opening up, right? So investable thesis is there. Where can we put our money to position ourselves for that? There's also a vote in California for legalized sports gambling, which they need the revenue. So it's going to get passed. That's my opinion. I'm not making an epic call here, but I do think that, everything is pointing towards that's going to get passed. And if California legalizes gambling, think of all those casinos and card rooms and stuff. Now if they can do sports gambling, that is really going to increase the amount of availability for gamblers out there as well. So speaking of, we want to invest, we don't want to gamble, and we'll talk about the difference of that for our topic of the day. It's very important that you can clearly explain this to not only have it correct in your mind, but have it so when you look at your own portfolio, you can say, I'm actually gambling here. If you have that, hey, let's buy 1,000 shares. I don't care if it goes up or not. Okay, that's gambling mentality. And you don't want that, right? You want to put positive expected value investments in place. So we'll talk more about that. Okay, for our flow today, we're going to talk long stuff first, then short as we get into the open, and then short-term stuff as the market opens up, and then back to long-term, investing versus gambling. There's the 6 names we'll look at for our long-term investments. It's hard to directly invest in sports. So I'll tell you how you can do it with your money, and then we'll go from there. We'll do the day trading stuff. We'll have our competition again today. Only a few days remaining. Again, that was May and June for a free day in the room. I will see afterwards what I want to do going into July, if I want to keep the competition, if I want to change it. Depends on a few things. I appreciate your inputs if you choose to give them to me. All right, contingencies this morning. Hey, we're in Austin. We're in the middle of a major storm. So I will tell you, if we lose power, we've got a contingency plan in place. I should be back to you in 3 minutes if we lose power. So stick around in the room. I got 3 minutes. So I'm not back in 3 minutes. See ya. And I'll credit your accounts for 1 extra day on your timeline. If I can't get back in 3 minutes, then it's not going to happen. So Thanks for the feedback there, Burner, on the sound. All right, everything is available for videos on ototunnow.com. So as a disclaimer, this is financial education. I do not know your personal situation, so you have to treat this as financial education only. Okay, let's look at TD Ameritrade and where we've been for the past year. You know the road that has gotten us to this uptrend line, so we can skip over to the right side of the chart. The key level that we want to hold is that 300 level. That's a technical number. It's meaningless in the real world, but that is what everybody's looking at. And today, of course, we have a nice big number out there. We did have kind of a shock last night when Navarro, the trade advisor, said that the China trade deal, he was asked specifically, and his answer was, yes, it's over. And he had to walk that back for several hours later. I'm on Twitter now, so I do get Trump's tweets real time. So that's kind of interesting. Trump was pretty quick to come back on and correct his trade advisor with what he meant to say was that we're all good to go. Trade deal is on. So it's kind of fun to follow along there. If you don't, you might want to consider Twitter and follow me. So I have more than 3 followers. We're looking at where's the trend. We're up over 1% already this morning. So we shall see a little bit of congestion at that current 310 level. It would be nice to see us pop north of that. I think that's a little bit of a pipe dream. I think it's more likely to stay in the 300 to 320 level for some time as we kind of start looking towards the election. Okay, let's look at the past few days in the S&P 500. So you can hear a new chart for you. I've changed the some displays a little bit. The dark blue is the market open hours, and the light blue is the after hours there. So what you can see is we had the Friday kind of big down move is where you see right in there, and a little bit of confusion there at the end. That was, again, Apple closing the stores midday in closed some of their stores in the states of interest like Florida, that sort of thing. And then yesterday, kind of a interesting day, but marched higher. And then today, of course, the futures are up nicely. We shall see. I don't really see the headline that's bringing those futures up. So I think this is a melt up situation, but we'll see if it holds. Okay, for the calendar, the only thing I saw was a mortgage company that released earnings out there, so not a whole lot. AV is a name that we are in. It's going to be aftermarket today, so we shall take a look. We can see there's only, 7 total? No, it's at 8 total that are even releasing dividends or earnings today, so not much going on there. All right, let's come down to CNBC.com, and we are going to take a look around the world. The first thing you're going to see is the futures there. Not led by tech, but led by the overall Dow there. And there's we'll go down, and you just see in the trade deal there, of course, is your major headline. I was laughing at the look on Trump's face. That was probably him looking. I thought it was gonna be him looking at his advisor for saying stuff. Let's go to Europe real quick. You can see pretty much everybody's in the green across the board. So how about that? If you've been following the Wirecard drama, that's a German firm that's been all over the map. It went from like almost to zero, and now it's bouncing back up. Kind of a nothing as far as investing in it, but it's a fun story to watch. Let's go to Asia. You can see everything in the green across the board there. Hong Kong up a little over almost 2%. We'll look at yesterday in the US. And again, here my eyes go, about the numbers already. You can look over at the VIX. Pretty calm. So remember, 30 is kind of that magic number for the VIX. So dropped a little bit significantly. That's going to continue down today unless we get a reversal in the market. All right, looking in bond world, again, we have the Fed buying up bonds, so kind of good news across the board. There are some companies that are taking advantage of that, and I think that that's going to get some scrutinized, if you will, by the SEC. And American Airlines is one of them. They're releasing $2 billion of stock. It's like, what? Anyhow, we'll take a look at that, but bond market is getting flooded. Over to oil. Again, above 40 now in oil, so we're kind of in the heart of that 40 to 60 zone, so I consider that healthy. One trade that did reverse on me yesterday that I was unhappy about was natural gas. If UGAS is something that I follow, I'm in. It's a buy below 10. It went up to 11. I was holding out for 12. Well, it's back below 10. So keeping an eye on that, may even buy more down here, but bouncing off historic lows there. Okay, over to the precious metals. Again, these should see an uptick going into the election. because that's where people think that their money is safe. All right, we'll go back to the main screen and go down through the headlines. Obviously, the trade deal is going to be the first thing that takes the stage here, and that's what caused everything. The Dow went down 400 last night and is now up 300 today, so 700-point swing in the Dow is pretty significant there. All right, there's your boy Peter Navarro. Thanks, buddy. Yes, it's over. Market crashes. So Fauci is talking today. I didn't catch a time, but you can expect a coronavirus update. When he speaks, he can move markets. I do think people are listening because everybody's kind of tuned in to see what he has to say as far as the second wave and how we should handle it and all of that. Okay, yeah, do we need to fund schools? Boy, that's something. I don't know. Schools have been kind of it'll be interesting to see what happens to public education and private education coming out of this. I think there's going to be some trauma. We have a sports theme. I don't know if it's probably not going to be a CNBC headline, but there was the first college. It was a Division III college so if you have college football, that's on the radar scope, right? And is it going to happen or not? Well, everybody kind of needs it to happen from a financial perspective because that's what generates your revenue largely for your sports program, Title 10, blah, 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 blah. Everything's kind of funded by football. So big deal and ripple effect if football doesn't go. There was a Division III school, didn't catch the name. If you saw it, pop it into the chat, that canceled all of their sports for next year, including football. Which it's not significant to them because they had an 0-9 team, but it is one of those when somebody goes, it's unsafe, that starts to get into the nanny effect and well, can we do it if they're not doing it? So anyhow, you can expect to see some other schools probably punting like that on their football program here soon. So I don't know. We shall see. August 1st tends to be the big date when everybody kicks off as far as the fall sports and getting the official 2-a-days, that sort of thing. So we shall see. All right, let's look at Apple's been on fire. They had a Worldwide Developers Conference left yesterday. iOS 14 is coming out, new homepage. They're dumping Intel for their chips. They've been talking about that for years. They've been Intel for 20 years, so we shall see. Micron got a downgrade. Can't remember the news on Peloton. All right, let's see. I think Apple's going higher. We don't care what they think. Click the view more here. Starbucks is in the news. They are releasing the Impossible Sausage Sandwich this morning, which is now, you remember, your non-meat, so plant-based sausage breakfast patty. So we shall see how that's working out. Intuit, TurboTax, you can think TurboTax, QuickBooks, they're laying off a whole bunch of people. So that should be good for the stock. Not good for the people that get laid off, of course. Okay, let's continue on down. We can give up on this and get to the next section. There we go. Yes, big deal in the oil world. I didn't click on that to read it. There's a picture down lower of your Impossible breakfast sandwich. Have fun. Okay, well, the CEO got arrested for Wirecard. That's interesting. Good times there. All right, and one more, and we shall see what else we have. Yeah, you remember I talked about the Bubba Wallace thing yesterday in NASCAR. So it looks like NASCAR's kind of recovering from that, what I would hope would be an isolated incident. So appears to be doing all the right things to support Bubba Wallace there. He did finish, I think, 14th in the race, which is one of his highest finishes. So kind of interesting. All right, let's go over to the Schwab platform, and we are going to talk now about sports investing. So how can you invest in sports? Well, you could buy a team if you got $1 billion, right? J-Lo and A-Rod are trying to outright buy the New York Mets. They had to bring in an investor because they don't quite have the 1.8 billion or whatever that they're having to pay for it. But it's hard to really buy a team. You can't really invest in a whole lot of things. You have to go around the edges, right? So the first one to think of is Disney, not because of anything to do with Disney, but the fact that they own ESPN. So that's one way that stock has been beaten up because of the ESPN thing. And ESPN honestly has been a drag on the Disney stock for decades. doing some part-time work there, I know how much they spend to get these broadcasts out, and I'm under no illusion of their 50 ESPN channels that they're actually getting viewers across that. So it's kind of amazing to me, but they should jettison, they should split off ESPN, in my opinion. I don't see it ever happening though, but it should. So I do have Disney. It's a great stock for long term, but again, ESPN tends to hold it back. Maybe it will see a bump now with sports returning, if they return in full swing. NKE is Nike. So if you think who are the major, and Nike is not the only one, it's just the only one I'm going to put up here, is sports equipment, uniforms, that sort of thing. You have ELY. So Nike's kind of if I wanted the whole sports, almost like an ETF because it covers all sports. If you want to get more specific, ELY is Callaway Golf. I think golf is actually going to experience a much needed resurgence based on the social distancing, get outside, stay away from other people. You can be in a cart by yourself, not two people, and you're good to go. Kind of giving golf kind of a resurgence for golf there, and I like it. So Callaway has obviously benefited from that after it completely cratered. DKS is Dick's Sporting Goods, so now you think of a retailer, big box. Where do you go? We go to Academy and we go to Dick's, right? That's where you go and buy your $50 volleyballs. For some reason, they're not $8 anymore. Anyway, or the ones that girls have to have. EPR is an entertainment property, so if you wanted to back away from the supporting equipment and go to the actual property, they are the ones that own the property for Topgolf. So if Team Morning Crew were going to get together and buy set up a Topgolf in a very nice location, then they would buy the property and we would lease it from them. Unfortunately, with EPR, you can see the stock's been killed. They also have 143 movie theaters. Not the place to be in right now, right? For two reasons. There's just the theater itself, and then there's also the content issue, which is something I'm going to talk about on another day. But the content's dead. I mean, Billions stopped at episode 7 because they can't film anymore. So a lot of, I think we're going to run out of content here soon, in my opinion. So you see the stock's still depressed. I have it. I have some. It pays a nice monthly dividend. That's why you see all those D's there. But not what you really want to be in until the recovery's there. The last one, DKNG, we're going to talk about sports gambling. Obviously, this is DraftKings. The big vote in California, which I think will get passed. That's an opinion. And yeah, if it does, holy cow, California could actually become like one big Las Vegas. No crap. Because you think of how many little gambling facilities they already have all over the state too. I just think it could be huge to them for a taxation perspective. It's a very smart move. You have to get over your ethical, issues and sin stocks and all that, but I think it will pass. So you see DraftKings got hit pretty big yesterday. I expect that to pop back up today. I want to say the California thing, the dates for that are they have to have enough votes to get it ratified for the ballot by Friday, and then the vote will be in the future, which I didn't catch the actual date. One thing I do want to show you, we're going to bring up an Allegiant Stadium wiki page real quick, so we'll share that out. And the Allegiant Stadium is obviously for the LA or Vegas Raiders. Yes, we're going to talk Vegas this morning. So another way, if you want to look at how this is actually put out, we're going to go to the Wikipedia page for that. It's interesting. So it's $1.8 billion. The Raiders are footing the bill for 1.1 million of it. But if you were really wanting to invest in something crazy like this, you can go down to the area where it talks about financing. And you can see that there's 1.1 billion that are being foot by the Raiders is right there. And the public portion, you can get in muni bonds. So people always ask the time, hey, I want to be in muni bonds. They're not taxed. And it's like, well, first of all, you're not going to really make anything. You might as well just stay in high yield savings at a 1.6 or whatever you're getting, or a G-bill. Go to treasuries and your brokerage account, you're going to get 1.8. Why would you get into a municipal bond where you're maybe making 2%, even if it's tax-free? It's just not worth it. But anyhow, then there's a big loan out there, and then there's a stadium program with the NFL, and then they get the seat licenses, which you guys know about. Most of the people that I recognize in the room know about, how that works, buying the seat license and then paying your annual annual kind of deal. So it's almost like a real estate thing. So a bunch of ways to throw money at a big stadium. It's going to open up with the Garth Brooks concert in the late August. And then, of course, the first football game is going to be the Raiders on Monday night against, I believe, the Saints. Okay, so we can bring that down. And also UNLV is going to play there. So they're going to get lots of use, and that's going to be a major concert venue. I want to say 69,000 or so, but we'll get rid of that, and we will go over to the tabs, and we'll start looking for the shorts of the day and the interesting stories out there. There was a T-Mobile headline, so let's pull up TMUS. We'll take a look at that. All right, gapping it down. Let's see. They closed at not too much. 106 was the previous close. They're at 105 right now. There's a story. I don't see the story in the headlines there, but there's a bunch of stock being dumped by a bank that had to hold a bunch of T-Mobile stock. So that's what I've got there. And you can see from the chart that it's basically run up pretty huge. So it's got room to the downside. So that would be a T-Mobile short. We would have to check back and see if it's got enough volume. It's sitting 37,000 right now. Okay, American Airlines is kind of the heart of the envelope there. So that would be a short. I like that it's down 7%. It's got the most volume out there. Take a look at this again, being not only dumped from professional investors, I think steered clear of this, or maybe took a ride on a trade. But certainly your Robinhood, Team Robinhood, is probably starting to get their fingers burned on the stock and dumping it across the board. So previous close 1492 down to 1380. Kind of hard of the envelope, and who's really going to buy the airline here? They're also the ones I told you about that are issuing the $2 billion or something like that in stock and convertible stock. And I don't know, they're being some financial engineering, so I don't like that name at all. So it's attractive as a short today. Now remember, market's up over 1%, so the shorts are going to face a lot of pressure unless the market reverses at the open. If the market reverses at the open, pretty much everything's going to sell off with it, and you have any short there, so take it at the 2, 3, 4 minute point and wait for that reversal, and you could catch a heck of a strike down. All right, Visa's in the news. MasterCard got a downgrade, Visa did not, so that's kind of a big deal. Usually those travel together, but not enough of a move to really care about. Inovio was my single biggest trade of the year long. I haven't touched them since, so I'm not going to touch them again, literally ever, because of that trade. I don't want to ruin it, even though that was back in March. Okay, let's go to the next tab. All right, translate bio 50%. Okay, probably vaccine news. I don't even need to look that up. Amazon, they not really enough there to worry about. All right, let's go to the decliners. Volume issues, the TVIX, obviously we know about the Turbo VIX. Yeah, there's juggling chainsaws. We're not touching that. UVXY, not touching that. Novavax is a name in the news. Let's pull that up. It's been a ride both up and down. So take a look at that chart. It's gapping down, what, 4% or so, I think it was on there. Yeah, 4.4. So kind of hard of the envelope there, from 66 down to 63, not on any news. And I do like news, you know, either earnings or a negative headline for selling a stock. But look at the past, what, 10 days, 8 days, moving up from 44 to 65. So that's almost a reversion to the mean kind of trade. I'm going to put it on something to watch. That's one of those names, or there could be profit taking, and that thing would strike down to the short side. Nothing else that I like there. Let's go to the next tab. All right, not a lot of volume up top, all the way down to MYOV. Not really going to take a look at that. Let's take a look at Fiat Chrysler, 6.2% up. Okay, they were close to getting a loan. Yikes, I'm gapping up on that. Fantastic. Wow, okay, 965 up to 10 or so. It was just up at 1090. There's not a whole lot of room for that to move. I don't know. I wouldn't be excited about taking a car maker long right here that isn't named Tesla. And I hate Tesla, but kind of got to go with them sometimes. Click on, yeah, let's see. Yeah, let's bring up Sasol SSL there. That's an oil company, if my memory serves. Out of Lake Charles, I did not know that. They're gapping up again. There's going to be some names that are involved in that 6 company big deal that came out of the oil space, and I expect oil to be long today. Pull up DIG actually, since I just said oil would be long. See if it's gapping up. Okay, 82 up to 88. So yeah, low volume. It's only 70. This is a trading vehicle that I get in. There's dig, which means oil's going higher. Doug, it means oil's going lower. I don't know. We're going to look at dig long, even though it doesn't have the volume right now. That would be something we'd wait for the market open and check out from there. Okay. Click on NAIL, N-A-I-L. I did not know this was a thing. It's not something I'm really looking to trade. I'm more thinking of it from an investment perspective. It's a home builders ETF, so check that out. It's probably an ETN actually. So home builders, a lot of good news lately, so that might have some upside to it. Not going to play it today. OIS has been another name. It's low volume. It just dropped off, so let's put OIS up to the left. I have one friend that's heavy into OIS and has been squawking about it. Obviously, it's on its way down and then gapping up now, so $5 just above that. So that would be a long play, not right out of the gate because it doesn't have the volume. Let's look at the next tab. 4 minutes to go, and then I'll look over the chat to see if any names are coming in. All right, a bunch of stuff moving up. There's Wirecard if you just want to take a, you're going to throw a dart at the screen to see if you make money. Set your stops because it does move. All right, let's pull up Penn National Gaming again. This is the most direct effect of the California thing. In the legalized gambling in California, they would stand to benefit from that. So we'll keep an eye on Penn long. I don't know that the market's going to scream, rip your face off higher kind of thing. So we shall see. And there's our friends DraftKings. I called it up, so you could take DK and G long here. I'm probably not because I look at it as an investment, but it's something to consider. Okay, let's go over to the main screen and set it up. I've got plug for, I'll say that's power company, right? Maybe not. We'll set it up here. Let's go plug on the left. LK in the middle, good for you. Let's go DKNG to the right until I think about what I want to do. All right, pull up AAL for me on that right one. See what my trade is. You guys can look at those charts to see where your stop is. I will tell you with plug, are you going short or are you going long? Plug long. Look at that congestion. That means you could probably get away with a 10-cent stop pretty easy, especially if it opens right there. So that's kind of nice. LK just makes me hurt just looking at it. Down at 265. So yeah, take it long. I think the bad news story is out. There's going to be more bad news, but I forget what it was this morning. Again, somebody getting arrested or something like that. Let's see, we're talking AAL short. Kind of don't like how far it's fallen, so I'm going to pass on that. Pull up INVAX for me on the right. Again, this would be short. I do kind of like how far that's come down. That could sell off. Might take that. Dig, OIS, no. Pin, long, not going to take that. Pull up TMUS again if I didn't ask for that before. Ooh, I do kind of like that. All right, I will do TMUS short. So do I have time here? Yep, 1 minute. All right, TMUS, that's short. Stop is, got to go $2. $2 stop. And in at open, out at 5 minutes. So if that doesn't back up, I'll be fine. If it does, then I will be knocked out of that trade, but that's what I'll take. Yeah, they probably are going to get delisted, and that's, I think, was priced in. Obviously, LK is going down. This would be a fill the gap trade for LK here. So Generally, we don't do that. We would want to write it down, but man, look at that move down already. We'll see the percentage once it starts at the open here. All right, let's make sure our volume's up for the bell. Actually, just missed the bell, so there we go. All right. And off to the races. Let's see. I'm already in my trade, so you can give me my entry at 10, actually all the way down to there. Yep, 1037. We'll draw that. I've got up to 1057. So we'll draw my upper stop. And then, of course, all the money I'm going to make, 1057, I've got all the way up to there. There you go. That's my stop, and then we're going to watch that sell off through the day. Let's see if the LK is going to go in at 1 minute. We're not there yet. So we should be getting close for the entry on LK long. That's a pretty good setup right there. If it hangs there at about 2.6 or so, when the next bar opens, that's not a bad place to be. I think people are going to buy that name. All right, there it was. There's the entry, 261 for LK. So we'll get that drawn up there for you. And let's see what our kind of stop is. It's a 20 cent lower stop. So you've got all the way down to 242. So we don't need to draw that. We'll just keep that in mind. Josh, I don't think it's going to hit that. So we shall see. At least that's your open there. And let's look over at plug. It's going to be in at 2 minutes. So we're not quite there yet to the entry. It'll be the next bar. So we'll take a look at that. Oh, plug, put your thesis in there if you get a second predator, if you can step away from the keyboard. And we're going plug long, so don't necessarily like that move that it's already going up there. Okay, there it is. So 612 right there is the entry for plug long. And the lower stop is going to be a 10-cent stop. So down at 602, certainly if it holds that, then you'll be off to the races long. So 602 there for the lower stop. And then 3R obviously would be 30 cents higher. So 612 basically be off the chart. So we'll just keep an eye on that there. Oh my word, what's going on with T-Mobile? Look at that backing up. So I'm well into the red, but I'm not stopped out yet. We'll keep a look on that. Let's just check the SPY. Yep, check it on the right because I don't want to watch myself get stopped out. Okay, so that should help the short, which is me. Okay, plug is dead, so that got stopped out. No, I'm sorry, you're going long. My bad. So you're up in an R, looking at 2 R's there, so nice move. Out at 10 minutes, so we've got some time to cook. But again, if you were to wait for your 3R, so that would be kind of going well there. And then LK, yes, look at that stripe up. So hopefully we'll see a lot more in LK as the SPY kind of sells off. We're still 0.75% in the green. So we'll bring the SPY down, put T-Mobile back up, see if I got stopped out. Hopefully the market going down will save me. Looks like, yep, I got hit out. So that would dump my position. So I'm out. So it's between you two. Now, from a delayed entry perspective, that's a perfect setup in T-Mobile. So if you're going to use your paper trading account, you could take T-Mobile right here at 105 with about a 50-cent stop. Take that short and just watch it stripe down. So we're going to leave T-Mobile up there. I do not see it going much higher than where it is right now. Okay, our longs are playing out. Looks like 612 up to 642. So if you had stop set in here for plug, well done. You just hit your 3R. So very nice. You would be out of that trade. Let's talk about our uppers. We're in at Luckin at 261 on a 10 cents. So 280, you're already at 2R on Luckin and holding it out there for 3R. I would hold that. I would have no problem. That may be short covering in Luckin. It may be, but maybe people loading up. I think I will. If it stays below 3, I think that's where we're, it's a good buy opportunity. I bought some around the 318 range yesterday. All right, so those are going nicely. Let's see. I'm out anyway. Swing for the fences. You're going to let it cook on LK and then plugs out at the 10-minute point. So we got 6 minutes. So we don't need to stare at those necessarily because those are working for you. Congrats again. If you take an entry in T-Mobile here short, I think you'll be happy. Just love the way that's kind of set up there. So we shall see. Let's yeah, I'm out of that, but I want to at least look at it for the subsequent trade if you would where you would take it now for real money or paper money. Okay, let's look at the long names of the day. A lot of green, that's good. Clickstream up to 35%. Again, that's a penny stock. If you're interested, let me know. Those are a ton of options moving to the upside. RBBTF's a psychedelic name. I met with my psychedelic client and talked that thesis for about an hour and a half on Father's Day. He happened to be in town. So obviously he's a big believer. I am not sold yet, but I do agree it's a thesis. All right, DraftKings up 3.3. We'll take a look at some of those here in a minute. Bank of America, NEO, JP Morgan, Prudential, Minerals, Brigham Mineral, Lebanon Citizens National Bank up, ConocoPhillips, Shroom. The XLF is the index fund for finances, so that's pretty good. All right, let's check out what's in the red today. Okay, it's in the red. Yeah, that's the theme. UGAS is again my natural gas play. I don't like that at all. Let's bring up UGAS on the right screen and see if it's probably about 960 or so, 950 maybe. 990. All right, I've said this is a buy below 10. That's a historic deal. That was my entry point for those that have it. So we're slightly in the red there, but I think it's a buy below 10. Micron got hit with a little bit of a downgrade. SBTL's treasuries, SBLB's long bonds, FireEye, and a couple other things. Those are pretty small. Let's go back to the green there. All right, sounds good. Let's pull up the SPY in the right-hand screen. Both your trades are safely in the green there. That's nice. Okay, the SPY is rebounding, so that should help your longs, or at least it stopped falling in the SPY. We'll take a look at some other names. T-Mobile, where we know what's going on there. AAL was a potential short. Again, big move down pre-market and bad news. So if you went into it out of the gates, 25 cents, you might have gotten stopped. If you took a 30 cents to now that big tail that's going all the way up to 14.12, remember, if that tail runs up, that's people hitting triggers and having to sell. All right, I see that took T-Mobile short. I think that's a great move. That's going to pay off, in my opinion. We shall see. So we're back to AAL. Had those 4 big moves down. You could still short it here. I'm not sure it's it's already down 6.5%. I don't know. I kind of like that as a paper trade or real money short. I'd probably take it here and set the stop for like 20 cents or so. Again, risk and R. I think it's a nice setup for it. We shall see. NVAX, NVAX short. Let's see if that would have worked. No, pretty much get blown out of that. That's a $2 or $3 move to the upside. So nope, we didn't touch that. DIG, this was a long. A low volume long. Let's see. Yeah, try to get in on that a little bit. Hard to tell if that was the actual open or there was nothing at the open. I don't know. Not enough volume to really tell. So kill that. Don't trade that. OIS was a long name we looked at. Again, this is going to be an oil thesis. So if you took it at the open, you're basically sitting around $5. So you wouldn't be stopped out. If with a 10-cent stop, you'd still be in that trade. Probably wouldn't be excited about taking anything there. PENN, PENN, was a long name. Oh, that would have been, let's see, a tough entry. All right, it opened around 33, went all the way down to 32.6, so 50-cent stop. Well, I don't know if, yeah, you probably not have taken a 50-cent stop on that. Now, if you did a 5-minute entry where it goes all the way down to that 32.7 level and then look at it striping up now, obviously with all of those moving up, I think the market's probably going going pretty good in the green here. But good looking trades, friends. All right, and DKNG long, we know it's in the green. Let's see how far in the green it is. All right, so at the entry, you'd have been definitely stopped out if you took it at the market entry. But if you did a delayed entry and took it anywhere between that, you couldn't really take it at 39.2, but you could probably enter the trade long at around 39.4 once you got kind of away from that bottom, and then it's striping up from there for what, 5 or 6 green bars in a row. Probably that would have been a 30-cent stop, so you'd need a little more to get your 3 Rs. Okay, looking back at plug, we're at a several R move higher here, so 612 plus 50, so you're at a 5 R move up there. LK 261, so we're almost to 3 R. 291 would be 3 R and LK. Again, looks like you loaded up on shares, so that is pretty good. All right, so just kind of going back to the chat, I'll talk to some of these things where you guys watch your trades. Thanks for the feedbacks on the AirPod Pro. The good news is now I don't have to manage where I'm looking or my distance to the microphone. I can kind of do whatever. I could get up and do a dance if I choose. Now, if LK went up to $5 right now, I think I would do that. All right, yeah, no, Navarro's not playing the market there with his comments. That would be highly illegal. Now, Bill Ackman will do it on CNBC, but for some reason he gets the pass. What? I think he'll be the face of COVID when it comes out of this and we start writing books about the money that was made or lost. Ooh, look at that. So yeah, LK would have hit 3 R there, you'd be out. I would probably take when, 2/3 off, or if you had, 5,000 shares, I would take probably 3,500 off the table and go, bam, 3 R, I'm happy, big smiley face, let the rest ride, set a lower stop at around 280 or so you don't give it all back. That's kind of how you trade that there, real time. Let's check back on the right. Oh, TMUS is in there. Okay, let's see. Short at 105.49. So you're still in that trade. Yeah, that's probably one of those you're going to have to hold for a while in T-Mobile. Again, I just don't see people buying it. I see people selling it. There's $3 in LK, so that makes me happy. All right, back to the chat. Yeah, people could assume that Ohio State wins, or you could come up with names like Alabama or Clemson that actually do win. Yeah, Iowa State, they're overdue for a national championship. You're right. You're not wrong there. They've actually been putting up decent numbers. They're actually getting more of a legitimized program. Yeah, there's lobbying going on all over the gambling and casino stocks. They're probably throwing parties in California to get everybody to vote for sure. All right. Plug long, swing for the fences. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, on LK, getting paid. All right, let's see. Plug raised guidance. Yep, I missed that this morning. So there you can see why the math works for everybody. If you look at Apex in the chat, is yeah, you got stopped out on pin. If you are disciplined to the if you are disciplined to the math of setting that R, so you can only lose an R, and that's the biggest stop that you need to be worried about. So you take the trade, you put the stop in, so that you can't lose more than 1 R, and there's a little bit of slippage, so 1.1 R or whatever. But if you're risking $100 or 300, let's use 300, boom, I can't lose more than 300 at 320 maybe. But you're getting stopped out, you're not crying about it, you're not whining, you're not sitting there taking the trade again. You just man up, take the loss, because you know that another trade, when it hits, you're going to get 3 R or 3 R plus if you keep a few shares. So way to go there. All right. T-Mus, how are we doing? Yeah, I think you're going to get paid in that trade. I would not have any problem holding it with that action right there. So I like it. OSU, Michigan, giddy up, taking a trip up north. Should be going right over to see some Roll Tide games. Okay, let's take a look at the SPY on the right. See kind of what the overall market's doing, and then we'll transition back into our longs. Let's try that one more time. Yeah, invite for 2 to the box. I hear you. Let me know what date. All right. So Predator, I've got you at a 5.8 R where you closed out there. I think that's drawn on the screen is the 5.8. So that's going to be tough to beat, but LK would need to be well north of $3, but it's got another 5 minutes. So nice trade there from the Predator for the competition. That's been a little bit of a trend. Apex also wants to go. Yep, we'll have to put for his performance, we would have to invite the Predator because he appears to be really good at this. So congrats. You can teach Burner and I, and Geach and Chinook as well. All right, we are looking at let's bring it down to, actually, you can leave that up there. Put the SPY into the right, please. See what the overall market's doing. Okay, so nice move up in the market, almost 1% up on the day. So that's going to help your longs out. So we shall see. Let's go back to CNBC. Just we don't need to bring the share it out, but I just want to look at see if there's any headline stuff going on. All right, basically 1% up across the board, so nothing there. All right, let's talk about the long-term topic of the day, and then I will get to questions from here. So gambling versus investing. So you think of the definitions. This is important to be able to have clear in your head when you take an investment, or if you're gambling. And if you're gambling, don't do it, right? So, and here's why. So from a definition perspective, investing is the allocation of capital with the probability of gain and possibility of loss. So process that for a second. The probability of gain. When you have a probability of gain, the term from statistics, if you kind of rack your brain to however many statistics level you've had. In my PhD for finance, there were 3 statistics courses, which just, wow, that's a lot, but positive expected value. So if it's positive expected value, it's an investment. If it's a gamble, it's the backwards, right? It's the allocation of capital with the probability of loss, but the possibility of gain. So think lottery, think blackjack, think craps. Going in, that is a negative expected value. Otherwise, we wouldn't build these huge cities with the money that's been lost in these dumb games. So if you go and you play those games, you are gambling. So now let's relate that to the stock market. If you look at a penny stock, or you look at, hey, I'm going to buy Hertz. Let's pull up Hertz in the right screen. Their stock should be worth 0. We'll see how close it's getting. So it's down to 120. It's been a house of pain. If you want to back the chart out to about 15 or 20 days or so, you can see this thing's been, suckers bought it and then it's being sold off. Even Hertz tried to issue new stock saying, oh, by the way, this is worthless. Interesting marketing scheme. But yeah, it's going bankrupt. It's going to 0. There will be people that will buy this and go, I don't care. Let's put 1,000 shares. That's $1,200. If I lose it, I lose it. I don't care. But if it miraculously turns around, which it would need to get bought by somebody, if you're doing a whatever in your portfolio, when you look at the app, then that's not good. You are gambling at that point. And if you're filling a vice or whatever, that's one thing. So if you just have to gamble, then make the numbers small, but have no expectation of making money, right? Possible you can make money, probably lose. So that's the difference between the two. Try to explain that to folks, and people that if you play poker, and I know a couple of folks in here do, as you assess your competition at the table, it is a game of skill because the same people win over time, which is the definition of a skilled game versus a game of chance. Now, there's a lot of chance involved because you're using cards, but if the same people win, if you assess when you sit down at a poker table or virtually play against players, if you assess that you are one of the better players at the table, you actually have positive expected value. You have to beat the rake, which is, again, whatever the game is taken out of the pot. So it's kind of tough to do, but if you take it serious, treat it like a business, you can be positive expected value when you sit down. If you sit down at a table and you are clearly the worst player there and you still choose to play, then you're gambling, right? You're going to need the cards to be lucky to help you out. Okay, that's enough on that. Let's go to the questions. We've got 1 more minute, and then the LK trade will close, and we're going to talk LK here in a minute. It's going to be a nice 2-hour trade, so I think that's fantastic. So it did hit 3 R's. So if you had your stop set, boom, that's 3 R in the bank. Maybe you let some ride. And I said, hey, if you let sell 3,500 shares, let the 1,500 ride. So you have 3,500, you closed out at 3R, and then the rest of your trade would have just hit a lower stop if you put it exactly. So you'd be stopped out on the other 1,500 at still a 2R. So you do your weighted averages between that, you're at about a 2.2R trade or whatever. So there's 850. You'll get the closing price out of this bar, and that was it. Okay, real world. Burner saying he was out at 3R. So perfect, perfect trade, right? Boom, 3 hours, go to the gym, and then get ready to go to work. All right, over to the Q&A. So yeah, it's going to be, looks like it'll be a little less than 2R, right around 2R when that closes out. But we're going to talk about LK in a minute. So let's just back out LK to like a 20-day kind of chart or so while we're going to talk about it. Okay, so LK was up at like $40 or whatever, and it crashed. All right, and it had the fraud thing. So you're asking what was that last week? Yeah, we talked about LK almost every day. I'm in the name long. Again, 318, 325 is where I was buying yesterday. I bought some at 5, so I've got a terrible entry personally, but I'm loading up, so I'm averaging down while it's down here. So let's talk about the thesis. There's so many negative headlines, so you wonder if it's priced. So you have to do the math of, is it priced in? And I'm not gambling here. This is a true investment because I believe that the 7,000 storefronts of a highly addictive product, i.e. coffee and tea, which is high margin, has value. Was leadership corrupt? Yep. They've been firing people left and right. They fired the CEO, the COO, the chairman of the board. They brought in a university professor. They brought in a lawyer that are on the board seats now. So obviously there's going to be negative headlines. Are they going to get delisted? Probably. Do I care? No. We covered this last week. If a stock is delisted, it simply goes from the NASDAQ to over the counter. So you don't lose your shares. They don't go to zero. Nobody cares. And I think they do have to tack on a few letters like TC, 10 cent, which is TCEHY, has never been listed. It's an over-the-counter stock, and it's up at like $50. So, and it's a name that, high volume, high everything. It's just over the counter. So do you care? Not at all. It's a negative headline for sure, but then again, it can be a good news story when it gets relisted, right? So I don't see it going much. I don't see it hanging out below $3 too much. We shall see. I think it's got potential to go to 20. I'm not even touching shares till they hit 10. So it could be a pain train. I may be holding on to this Luckin for a long time. The good news is that you can buy 1,000 shares and it's $3,000. And I don't want to laugh out loud at $3,000, but in relation to a portfolio that is a fractional size when your average position size is like $25,000. So you could load up on this. I would say no more than about 15 grand. So that'd be 5,000 shares would be about enough if you're holding this for the long term. I like feeding it over time. So if it continues to go down, you buy until you just go, okay, I've just got enough of this and I'm going to sit and watch it. So we can close that out. Yes, the competition is the most R's. So that way, because everything's measured in R's in the day trading world. And if you keep a journal, you don't want to measure dollars because dollars can freak you out. So think of the poker analogy, right? So if you raise pre-flop, it's a 3x bet. Doesn't matter what table you're at. You think in terms of the pot size plus the blind size versus the average bet at the table. If everybody's betting $20 pre-flop, then you bet, so you're thinking in terms of, kind of R's, or in a tournament you use M, which, how many big blinds do you have left? So you're doing that math. You don't want to get into the raw numbers, or when you place a bet, you don't want to think of like, that's actually $105 versus it's just like 105 because the previous guy bet 35 and that's 3x. So don't think about the dollars. If you have $1 million portfolio and it drops, 1%, that's $10,000. Don't think about that. Just think it fell 1%, right? So close that out. Okay, what do you recommend to install as an investment thought process in our kids? I love this right now. I love that question without reading the rest of it. Rather than a gambling thought process, shorter gratification while investing involves patience and discipline. Absolutely. I think I will do a podcast on it. I have one more look at plug screaming higher here. The new highs on the day. Yeah, that's important to really. My girls get beat up with it because we talk finance all the time, and sucks to be my kid, but they are going to get this. But you're right, the shorter gratification. I think it starts with what do they do when they get a dollar. So, uh, if you got a couple of kids or whatever, and you give them some money, you'll know right away what kind of person they are, because they're either going to take it and start looking to utilize it, i.e., spend it, i.e., get something for it, trade the dollars for something right now. So there's your gambler mindset. There's your I'm going to buy a lottery ticket mindset. I'm going to buy a scratch off. I'm going to give craps a shot because it's fun. And you know this, if you got a 12-year-old, if they want to spend their money, they're already in that short-term gratification issue. So you need to address it. If you have a saver, and I've got two kids and mine are polar opposites, right? One spends, the other saves, and their net worth is already significantly different, and they're not even 16 yet. But I can tell you that the habit patterns built in your teen years are habit patterns that you will have when you're 80. Period. I don't care. It's the truth. You generally don't change that much significantly with money. If you are a saver and investor, you will probably be for life. And when you have, a $3 million portfolio, you will still hem and haw over spending, do I spend 500 for the cruise or do I spend 450? And it's kind of irrelevant in the big picture, but that's the type of person you are. If you are a person that spends money, literally you can give somebody who's bad with money, give them, a 50-year-old that has saved nothing, that has a nice high paying job. If you give them $1 million, they will find a way to find zero with it. And that's a book I need to write called Finding Zero, about money management and sheer math with that. So, yeah, and I would say, yeah, absolutely. That's a point with a spouse, right? Your partner for life is, are they a saver or spender? If you have two savers, which is kind of where we are, it's like I don't have a whole lot of things, but what I have is very nice. And my wife's extremely frugal. Hems and haws over every financial decision, which I love because that's saving. That helps me put more money into the market, and net worth goes through the roof, and very happy about that. But yeah, I think that is a conversation when I do talk to clients that are engaged. Of course, that's the first thing I'm going to bring up is, y'all need to find some page that you're on or some parameters to be able to be, a team in your finances versus just out doing your own thing. So when I hear folks, honestly, that have separate accounts, side accounts, it's like, oof. That's concerning. It still can be managed. I'm not saying it's the end of the world if you do, but it could be concerning on a financial trust there. Okay, so let's clear that out. I think that was a great question. So yes, get it straight in your own mind. It's when you're looking at, hey, I want to, I get a newsletter that I pay $300 for some idiot who's not licensed, who tells me that this is going to be the next penny stock that goes to the roof, and then you call your financial advisor and say, hey, let's get in this. It's like, well, yeah, okay, a little bit of amount, but those are gambles. I don't like them. Sometimes they pay off, and that's the problem, right? Somebody wins the lottery, regularly, and that's what keeps everybody going back. So let's do one quick look at the market. Plug, if you kept any shares, would be continuing higher past the 5. That's up to 6 R's now. Excuse me. LK had kind of a ride today, so nice entry, nice 3 R's on a day trade. Again, this is long-term investment, so it's going to be all over the map, and a lot of negativity. There's going to be a lot of people dumping these shares that can't stand the heat. I can stand the heat, so I'm buying those shares. I got the same speech in mid-March when it was time to lock and load and buy, and everybody's like, there's the village idiot. And it's like, who's the idiot now? I don't know. You tell me. Still arguing whether it's a V recovery or not. I just chuckle, move on. All right, SPY has come in significantly, still up by 3/4 of a point. Let's refresh on CNBC, and then I'll let you go. All right, so yeah, 3/4 across the board. I see Fauci. Let's scroll up, see if he's live yet. I haven't seen a banner, but maybe that's got a time that he's going to be on. Don't see a time yet, but he'll be talking. We'll see what he has to say. A lot of people obviously hang on his every word. All right, so with that, good job, Predator. You get your free month for the trade. Good job, Burner, on that trade. And thanks everybody else that was listening in. And we will talk to you guys tomorrow. You have a good one.